Hey everyone, this is Carbonite, and today I'm going to be bringing you my deck profile for the updated Avantgarda. So Avantgarda as a deck has kind of just been thrown to the wayside. This deck was kind of rogue playable in set 12, but ever since then the deck has kind of just been power crept entirely out of the meta. That is until the latest set, BT 7, DZ BT 7 to be specific, which Avantgarda got like the most custom card that is like imaginable. So does that custom card fix the deck? No, it does not. It is insanely good, and it does a whole lot for the deck, but the deck is honestly just mired with so many more different problems that need fixing that one single card isn't going to be enough to fix the whole strategy. So in building this deck, I did kind of dissect it down to its very bare bones, and in order to identify some of the problems, and the deck choices I made kind of reflect that. So before you start judging me when you see some of my deck choices, just keep in mind that I'm going to be dissecting exactly why I'm playing those things and why I think they kind of address some of the problems in the best way that I can. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and hop into the deck profile. So as always, we are going to be starting off with the right deck, and this is actually where the controversy is going to start, unironically. So of course, for our starter, we are going to be playing the Sora period. You do have to play this because for whatever reason, you need to have it in Soul for Avantgarda. I know he's the pilot, but whatever. And then for my grade 1, I'm actually going to be playing Dilander. Wait. Just let me explain. So, Dilander's effect is that when he is placed on Vanguard, you search your deck for a base card, put it in your hand, and shuffle the deck. He also has another skill which only works with Dayusha, but obviously we're not playing Dayusha, so that effect's not going to be relevant. So why are we playing this? If you've played Avantgarda, you know for a fact that Avantgarda's grade 1 sucks. It is so fucking terrible. That grade 1 that it searches doesn't happen until you get to grade 2, and the card it does search is absolute dog shit. It's the removal, which is like comes up in one every like 5 games, but that card is so terrible. I was literally looking through every single Bronc Gate starter that I could play that could literally do anything. Literally anything. And unfortunately, a lot of Bronc Gate starters, for whatever reason, are very reliant on the grade 0. Like both Archite and Ava, you need to ride them over the grade 0 for whatever reason. And the best that I could do is Dilander. Now, Dilander searches out the order. Now, when you play the order, since it was played in the order of the turn, you tap it and you search for another card and put it into your soul. So that is straight away deck thin 2. In a deck that is super reliant on, hitting triggers and high rolling, it is the more you can rip out of your deck, the more non-triggers you can rip out of your deck, the better better time you're gonna have. So main reason we're doing this, grade 1 sucks ass, and we literally are desperate for anything that is better. And the best that we can do in Bronc Gate right now is rip 2 non-triggers out of the deck, which I think justifies it being in this deck. So just enough of that. So moving on, we are just going to be playing the rest of the Avantgarda ride line, the grade 2. When it is written over by, of course, Avantgarda, you search for grade 2 set order, the strategy order, and then if you don't add anything, it does get called out, but we're always going to be able to hit because the grade 2 set order is the one we actually care about. And then of course we do have Avantgarda himself, who is, I guess we can go over it since it's been a while. He has 1 skill, the Act. If your soul has the starter, you can put a strategy from your order into zone, from your order zone to your soul in order to draw a card and give him 5k, and then he also gains the red text ability that at the end of the battle he attacks if the attack hit, or you Persona Road, counterblast 1, discard a card, and stand him. He gets drive -1. So obviously our main strategy is to just be restanding the Vanguard, hit triggers, and hope it is enough to kill our opponent. Alright, so moving on into the main deck, I am going to be playing 3 copies of obviously Persona Ride. I did consider toning down Persona Ride because technically Persona Ride is now searchable with one of the cards we'll be looking at, although it's not like a reliable search. So I figured it's always just better to have this than not. And if you draw into it, you can actually use that search on a different card. So one of my philosophies for rebuilding this deck, as I was playing like a standard-ish build of Avantgarda, is I want to reduce the amount of non-shield that the deck has, because inherently you have to play so much non-shield. At some point, like, your opponent attacks you and you have like 10 cards in hand and 20k worth of shield, and then you just die. So I wanted to kind of avoid that as much as possible. So in that vein, we are only playing 2 copies of Richter. So once again, Richter is searchable. So that's why I feel I can get away with not playing as much. Like I said, I'm also trying to minimize as much non-shield as I can. Richter, it's been a while. So hand, you bind your Avantgarda, you ride him as stand, and he gains all of Avantgarda's act abilities. And then at the end of the battle, he attacked. If you have Sora appeared, you can discard 2 cards to choose the Avantgarda that you bound and write it as stand, it getting plus 10k power and minus 1 drive. So like I said, just playing 2 copies because I do not want to draw into these cards and not be able to guard with them. But of course you do kind of want to see it a little bit. I have honestly considered just cutting Richter and going pure Persona Ride, which also seems kind of viable, but unfortunately, like, I think in this meta, if you want to win with Avantgarda, you kind of have to just go for the high roll every single time, and unfortunately Richter is very helpful because it lets you get like an extra drive check effectively. And then for my last grade 3, I am playing just 1 copy of Death Winds. Normally you would play this at 2, but considering the way I've built the deck, the main strategy is not focused around the set orders. We kind of just focus on just 1 set order, and we kind of want to put that to soul every single turn. So Death Winds, I guess we can actually go over it. Its skill, when it's put from the order zone to the soul, you get your Vanguard, the skill that all your front row units get plus 5k whenever it attacks. That skill is actually transferable. Ideally, you would want this on your kill turn, but we'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to it. Another problem that I realized that Avantgarda has is that ideally the deck wants to be playing a set order every single turn. It wants to play it on turn 2, you want to play one on turn 3, and you also want to keep playing them on turn 4. Ideally, you would also like to be able to play them on turn 1, just because that gives you another turn. Because if you think about it, you go turn 3, with the normal Avantgarda ride line, you have 2 set orders. You put one of them in, you're left with 1. And then you go to your next turn, you put another one, you have 2, and then you go into Richter. Richter sucks up 1, Avantgarda also sucks up 1, so now you're left with 0. The turn after that, you're left with 0 in your order zone, so you can play 1, which means even if you have the Richter combo, you can't use 2 strategy orders. So the way I'm trying to fix that problem is I want to be able to play an order card every single turn. And because we're not playing the grade 1 in the ride line, because that order sucks ass, I wanted to be able to search out something that is usable, which of course is going to be the grade 2 order. And I want to be able to play that on grade 2. Unfortunately, there is no effective way to actually get the grade 2 order into your hand on turn 2, which is why basically the rest of my grade 2 choices kind of facilitate being able to play the grade 2 order on turn 2, because you're going to be searching it out on turn 3, riding up to Avantgarda, but you want to play it a turn earlier. So the main way that I figured out to do that is this guy. He's a promo, very old promo. If you played Ava in Japan, I guess maybe you know this. If you remember old JP Ava deck list, they played this card, but we got this card way too late. But when he is placed on rear, Soul Blast 1, check top 7 for any set order, put into your hand, and shuffle the deck. He also has this other skill where if you play something by a card ability, he gets boost. It is technically proccable, but we're never really going to be using that. So this guy, he is here specifically so that we can play the grade 2 set order on turn 2, which is something that normal Avantgarda cannot do. Normal Avantgarda is almost always playing the grade 1, which is already a turn behind. It's too late. Like, you don't want to be using your turn 3 set order to play the grade 2. It's just I wanted to accelerate our set order strategies. So the only generic way to search out like good set orders like semi-consistently is this guy. And thankfully, he actually does synergize with the ride line, the Dielander, because Dielander being in the soul is one card you can soul blast. But ideally, you would want to search, like, use these as much as possible. So, like, if you see 2 of them, you'd want to play both of them down. But Dielander, what he does is he puts a card from deck to soul, meaning that you can actually afford to use both of these. Because normally, if you're playing normal Avantgarda, you only have 1 extra soul. You have the grade 1, assuming you didn't fucking whiff. You can hit your grade 1 set order into a damage zone. You had to call the fucking grade 1 out. But this build lets you always have the 2 soul so that you're able to use this twice. Of course, you know, it is less consistent. You are kind of banking on hitting that. But with this, and as well as the set orders, you should ideally be able to see that set order on turn 2. And kind of to that effect, my main attacker for choice is actually going to be Sabine. So Sabine is basically the new era of Avantgarda. I always called her the lady. But when she is placed on rear, or she's discarded by your Vanguard's ability during your turn, if you have a Blues Deathster Vanguard, meaning that you can use this even on turn 2, you EB3 and then choose a strategy from your drop and add it to your hand. And then she also has the same skill as Avantgarda, which is that when your Avantgarda attacks, she gets 5k. So she's a pretty good attacker. But why have we decided to switch from this? I'm actually not playing Avantgarda in this build, and we'll talk about it why now. For one, she's a lot cuter than Avantgarda. That's just personal preference. But of course, the main reason is if you see your set orders, they're non-shield. You don't want to keep those. You would rather discard them to ride up or for effects. Playing this card at 4 means that you're able to see it. And even if you, like an ideal scenario would be, discard the grade 2 strategy order, call her, EB3, add it back, play it. Or just like if you, for whatever reason, it ends up in the drop zone, you can just use this to get it back. And then the other reason, well, the way the deck is built, Avantgarda doesn't have as much synergy just because she kind of has a high chance of whiffing. Also, the fact that we're trying to be playing we're effectively soul-inning the same set order every single turn, and Avantgarda has to search a different name, means that it's just so much easier to whiff with her than it is with Sabine. All right, so moving on, we are actually going to be playing a card I really like. You might notice him popping up in a lot of my deck profiles. That is Refractile Dragon. He is the grade 2 discard booster. When he's discarded while you're on grade 2 or greater, Soul Blast 1, call him. But if it's during the battle phase, he cannot attack until end of turn. And then he gets boost whenever a card is put into your order zone. As I said, you always want to be putting something into your order zone. Having him there he's always just going to be a 10k booster, which kind of just helps you hit numbers. Usually you'll put him behind the assembler just because that helps make a 20k column, and then hopefully you can stack some triggers. But another reason why the Dielander synergizes with this is, like, say you have these 2 cards, you can discard this Soul Blast 1, call it out. Now normally if you're playing regular Avantgarda ride line, you won't have any more soul because you can't Soul Blast out Syrup period. But since you are playing Dielander, you can call this guy Soul Blast out the other card that you put into soul and, search top 7. So let's use both of these effects in the same turn. And then obviously this is just there. If you drive check him, okay, that's your discard target. That way you just don't minus from discarding as much. All right, so moving on to our next card. This set order is what the entire deck is built around. As I've been saying, this is the set order you want to be playing every single turn, and that's why we're playing 4 copies of it. Like I've been saying, you need to see this on turn 2, which is why we're playing this. You want to play this on turn 2 because if you've ever played Avantgarda, you know, what would you rather play? Shitty grade 1 strategy order or this card? The answer is always this card because you want to keep looping this into your order zone as much as possible. You want to go turn 2, play this. You want to go turn 3, search this out, play this. So that you can constantly have it on loop. Because what this card does is when it's put into soul, from the order zone, typical Avantgarda stuff, by Avantgarda's ability, you choose one of the following abilities and you give it to your Vanguard. So at the end of the battle attacks, if it is first battle and the attack doesn't hit, you search your deck for any grade 3 Avantgarda, and then of course shuffle your deck. So this basically puts like a Hobson's choice on your opponent. Either they take the attack, risk the triggers, and let you restand, or they guard it and let you search out Persona Ride, or if you already have Persona Ride, you search out Richter. So its other effect is that when your Vanguard would be ridden upon, the riding unit is placed with all the trigger effects that that Vanguard got, as well as any abilities that it achieves. So that just refers to crit and power from trigger effects, as well as the abilities that unit got from the strategy order. In this deck, it's only going to be Death Winds, so you can theoretically use Death Winds for a third time. So the main reason I have built the deck to focus around this is, if you think about it in a typical Avantgarda build, right? Using the regular ride line, you would play the shitty grade 1 on turn 2, and then turn 3, you would search this out and you would play it. Obviously, it's your first turn. What are you going to do? You're going to put this into Soul. Regular Vanguard attack. If it hits, you restand. If it doesn't, you search out Persona Ride. Now you're going into your next turn. Say you do Persona Ride. You only have the grade 1 set order. And what are you going to play? Are you going to play this? Or are you going to play Death Winds? You can't have both, because you only have the grade 1. You have this shitty card. You have, and nothing else. And you have to choose one of these. You have to choose this card, or you have to choose this card. Which one are you going to choose? Are you going to bank on the high roll, maybe get extra trigger effects, or are you going to use Death Winds? In this build, because we are centered around searching out the grade 2, we don't have to make that choice. If we search this on turn 2, we go, okay, turn 2, play this. We go turn 3, search this out, play this, put this one into Soul, and then say next turn comes, we find our Death Winds, play the Death Winds. So we go into Richter and we go, okay, base Avantgarda skill, use this, give ourselves the red text skill that when our Vanguard would be ridden apart, it gets all those effects and it gets the other one. Then we go into Richter, we play the we put the Death Winds in, and now we have Death Winds plus Resilience, meaning that our Avantgarda is going to be swinging 3 times, plus 15 to the front row, and we're going to keep any trigger effects on this for all of our Vanguard attacks. Playing base Avantgarda, you can't do that because you have the shitty grade 1 order that is sitting there, taking up space in your deck, being a non-shield and being like absolutely worthless. So that's the reason why the deck is built in this way. It's solely to facilitate that turn 3 play where you can actually have 2 of these in your order zone at one point in the game so that you can use one and still have another one in your order zone for the next turn so that your Richter can actually do something. And it is also the only way that you can theoretically even do this without, like, I don't know, like having to put in the grade 1 and literally wait again and hope that you see all of your pieces. This just like adds your extra consistency. So that is why this deck is completely constructed in such a weird, fucky way, solely to take advantage of this card as much as possible. All right, so with all the, fucky stuff kind of just like dealt with, the rest of the deck is going to be pretty normal. So we're playing our 4 Hathaway. He is the on place if you have a blue Desser CB1 draw card, and then when he boosts the Vanguard, if you put a strategy order in your order zone, which unfortunately in this deck does not always happen on turn 2, solely because of the fact that it is possible to whiff on the grade 2 order because we're not able to search out an order on turn 2, unlike normal Avantgarda. You do countercharge and just plus 2k. So like honestly that's fine if you do whiff on it, but ideally, like I said, the whole point of this deck is to play that strategy order, the grade 2 one on turn 2, to kind of just accelerate yourself. And then the other grade 1s I'm playing, for my Dimensional Robo of choice, I'm just playing Die Mariner because he is the only one that has another effect. So theoretically, if you draw into him, when he's discarded, you put him to the Soul. So theoretically, if you draw into him, you just discard him for Ride deck, and then he goes into the Soul, and you still have your 2 Soul anyway. You could theoretically, this can technically be any Dimensional Robo. I'm playing this one because he's the only one that actually has any utility. All the other ones don't really do anything unless you're on a Dimensional Robo, which obviously you're only going to be on Dimensional Robo for 1 turn, or they like work with Dayusha. This last slot is very questionable. I didn't know what I wanted to put in here. I was putting like Ala Gente, but I kind kind of decided on 2 copies of Balderade. This can be honestly anything if you want to play, I don't know, more set orders. If you want to play more non-shields, if you want to play the extra Richter, go for it. I personally do not want to. I would like to use Balderade. And another reason why Avantgarda is bad, because, well, obviously, let's go over what Balderade actually does. So if you have 3 or more set orders in your order zone, and your opponent is grade 3, is it 3 or more? Oh, it's 2 or more, which is never going to happen. It gets 5k because Avantgarda just sucks up its order zone like so much. And then the main skill is at the end of battle boost. If your order zone has a set order, you put him into the soul, and then you check out 5. Look for a grade 2 or greater unit card or a set order, add it to your hand, and then shuffle the deck. So normally Balderade is kind of unplayable in Avantgarda. Specifically, you can't use him turn 1 because of the shitty grade 1. It doesn't search until you get to grade 2. So what set order are you going to be playing? The answer is none. You're not going to be using this until turn 2. Although in this build, you can, because we get the Dayusha order, meaning that we'll always have a set order, and Balderade is always live, even on turn 1. He's pretty good for searching. And then the other reason is that very often Avantgarda sucks up its entire order zone, and you might be left with a Balderade and no cards in your order zone. So guess what? You're not searching. But yeah, so this is a deck that can actually play Balderade thanks to the way it actually functions. And then just, we mentioned it briefly, I'll go ahead and talk about it now. It's just the grade 0 set order that you search off when you ride into Dilander. When it is, basically, if you have Vanguard with Dimensional Robo, you can rest it and energy charge 1. Choose grade 2 or less Dimensional Robo from your drop, put it into your soul. But if this card was played this turn, you may choose from your deck instead. So obviously the play is the same as in Dayusha. Search this out, play it, rest it, put the Dimensional into soul. Now you have a set order. If you're going second, you can even call down Balderade now, swing, boost, put Balderade to soul, and, you know, actually search, which is something you can't do in normal Avantgarda. But yeah, so obviously these two are technically garnets. They're bricks. You don't want to draw them. If you see them in your opening hand, you mold them back instantly, and you pray to God that you don't see these in your opening 5. But theoretically, if you do, it's not the end of the world. If you see this, okay, you don't get the search, but you can still play it. Deck thin out the Die Mariner, and like I said, if you draw into the Die Mariner, you can just search this out, put it to discard this, put this to soul, and then obviously search this out, play it. So it's unfortunate, but you know, you still have things that you can do. If you, God forbid, see both of them, then I guess you're just a really bad player or just really unlucky. All right, so just finishing off with, you know, your basic things. We got your 3 PGs, Elementaria, you know, whatever. Not much to say here. Trigger lineup, we are attempting to high roll. So we are playing the full suite of 8 crit. We want to make sure we kill our opponent in a single turn, so we go front triggers. And then, of course, are just the basic things, 4 heals, and then, you know, our auto win button. If you flip this over on your first Vanguard swing, guess what? They're fucking dead, because you're just going to be swinging 3 more times with 100 million power, because assuming you did the correct thing and you put the grade 2 set order into the soul, guess what? You're going to rewrite your Avantgarda and it's still going to have the doubled power. Wait. How does that work? I actually don't know how that works. It says trigger effect, so I guess it would be rewritten and then doubled? Is that a trigger effect? I don't know. I don't want to think about it. Rulings. How do they work? But anyways, like if we were to give the 200 million to your Vanguard, then it would be, you know, it would still keep that 100 million. So pretty much unguardable at that point. All right, so that's gonna do it for my very, very unconventional Avantgarda list. Is this the best build? Probably not. I mean, you could always play the vanilla variant, but I think like diagnosably what Avantgarda's problem is is honestly just what I said. The fact that you can't start playing set orders until turn 2 kind of just puts the deck a whole turn behind. If I were to fix Avantgarda, I think it just needs ways to put set orders, more of the strategy orders into the order zone at a quicker rate. Honestly, like give it a Moe flash and like half the deck's problems are kind of fixed. Like, you can search out a bajillion strategy orders, but you can only play one per turn, which I think is the biggest issue that the deck has right now. And in all honesty, there isn't really a card available right now that fixes it. The best that we can do to patch up Avantgarda's problems is to play a janky build like this, to rethink what Avantgarda is supposed to be doing, what its problems are, and the best way to, you know, what your best play is, and kind of just focus the deck around just going for your singular one good combo. But, you know, enough rambling from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Try it out. A lot of times you'll notice that it doesn't work, but, you know, that can be said for regular Avantgarda too. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.